but I decided to kind of switch it up today, so I am playing Fairly Well. It's supposed to be a really good visual novel. I've looked at it, nothing bad this time on wording and everything. This time I'm making sure there's nothing bad in most of these games that I make, and it sucks that I have to sometimes take them off or move them. And by the way, the video I posted today, ignore what I posted. It was just like a really quick thing I wanted to do, and then I'm like, it didn't come out well than I thought. If you don't know me, I like heavy metal stuff, so I was watching an anime that was on Netflix. It's kind of like an anime, but it's not an anime. It's really, really good. It's Agriosoku? Something like that. It's on Netflix. It's really, really good. So, and of course, I always check on you all, how y'all are doing. Today's just been very off. I've been dealing with homework. Lots of homework with my planner. So, I just wanted to see how you all are doing, and I found this game, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do a live stream on this. I'm really curious at the game. I've had it for a while, and I have not played it. So I'm really curious of how this will go. And hi, Mootstree. Hopefully y'all enjoyed as much as I will. So let's get into it. So let's start. Fairly Well, the story of a lonely man, a wanderer, a wayfarer, a stranger, and a sleepy town he found in the snow. One winter night, December 1967. Wow, that's really imagine, like right now we're in 2018. That's a long time ago. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, I like the visual. I've looked at the Steam the store, but I really didn't see a lot of it. This is so pretty. Oh my goodness. Can I go here? Can I just jump into the game? And I'm sorry for how I look right now. I'm a little different dressed than I'm usual. But I like this top. I just got this one and I love it. Purple, so I'm a lone, wayfaring stranger. And I'm sorry if the music for a while. So I am a lone, wayfaring stranger, traveling through the world of movement. Oh, this guy sounds very depressed. But there's no sickness, toil, or danger. I know my way is rough and steep. My golden fields lie out before me, where God's redeemed shall ever sleep. I need to find somewhere better than this. I can't feel a thing. I'm going there to see my mother. Wasn't he saying his father? Nah, I'm confused. She says she'd meet me when I come. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over. Suddenly, I see light in the bleak mid-winter. Oh, this is so pretty. I like the visuals. It's like we had like forest, now we're in like a town. It'd be like old-fashioned kind of town. A small town that's deep in the woods. A small town. walking, and then all of a sudden you see a sign like super bright, like it'll do. Oh, I didn't read what it just said. Ah, wait, I can look back. Hold on, give me a second. It'll do. Oh no. Okay. I know I can go back in my video to see. Give me just a sec. I want to read what I missed. Okay, there we go. I push past the doors and enter it out of the snowy. Once inside, I take off my gloves and rub my hands together for warmth. It takes too long to feel my fingers again. I close my tired eyes and take in the sounds of the bar. It's busier than I'd expect in a town like this. There's a low murmur dispersed in the air. Some people are here in groups, and many are like me alone. It's good to see people again. I slip my gloves in my coat and take a seat. A bartender spots me from behind a row of drying grasses and approaches. So, okay, I'm just not gonna comment on it. Evening, a beer, please. I only order if I can stay. The bartender fills a glass from the tap. Traveling though, he places a drink in front of me. The liquid in the glass shines like oil under the pale, mellow lights of the bar. So I'm wondering, is the guy or the person that's me, is it a guy? Maybe I'm guessing. So maybe I should probably do a voice. I'm not good with voices. Whatever. He places the drink in front of me. The liquid of the glass shines like an oil under the pale, mellow lights of the bar. Yeah. I drink it all at once. It brings some fire back into my blood. I can't say I know what business brought you here. How do you know I'm not traveling for pleasure? Pleasure doesn't come this far north this time of year. I smirk. Maybe I got lost. Maybe you did. He takes my glass and steps away. I take a glance out of the window while he's gone. The night is black and thick with snow. I should stay a while longer. It won't let us lighten up soon. Seder maiden. Population a little over 2,000. I was able to make out the sign of the highway exit before the storm got too bad. Sorry about that, guys. Probably heard my phone. My bad. Originally, I meant to take it all the way to the other side. Hitchhiking got harder after sunset. When it got too cold to be outside, I headed off the road to the nearest place I could find. This place wasn't too bad. Reminded me of simpler times. I'll stay here for the night. Not that I have a choice. Yeah, it's kind of snowing outside. There might become a blizzard. Just saying, just common sense. Good job being common sense. It feels nice just to sit for a change. Sometimes you move so much you feel like you're the only one moving anymore. Like you're drifting away in the wind. Sometimes though it's fine when I can just stop and let things pass me by. After a while I noticed a change in the air. The curtain of small tile lowers into silence. The clinking of plates and glasses melts away. A small crowd begins to form in one corner of the bar. I walk over to get a look at what's going on and watch as someone gets out onto a small unlit stage. It's a girl. A girl in a green dress is about to sing. Ah, so that's the girl from the beginning. Ooh. Is this us? Or is this maybe from an eyes of somebody else? I don't even know now. The girl glazes with her deep brown eyes at the expended phrases all around her. She kind of looks like me, but if I had shorter hair and I didn't have glasses and all. But a hush falls over the crowd, and she leans into the microphone. Her face betrays not a single emotion, but pure wonder. It's almost as if she's somewhere else, remembering better times, preparing to sing to herself in a world that stood still, hanging off her every word. She began softly, her voice barely above a whisper. By Lorne Bonjean Binks. And by Yorn Bonjean Breaks, where the sun shines bright on the where me and my true love will never meet again, on the Bonnet banks of Loch Lomond. I'm probably saying it wrong, but that's okay. Of course, I know this song. The small birds they sing, and the wildflowers spring, and in sunshine, the waters are sleeping. When the broken-hearted can know no second spring again, though the woeful may cease from their grieving. We'll take the high road, and I'll take the low road, and I'll be in Scotland before you. But me and my true love will never meet again, on the bonnet banks of Loch Lomond. After her radiation of Loch Lomond, the girl continues singing various other folk songs. They always continue to be mesmerized by every movement of her heart. The bar is eerily silent, not a single person there moving. Her voice is magic, perhaps the most beautiful I've heard in all my life. I've never been this absorbed in song before. The voice of the girl in the green dress grows and grows and grows, only to fill the air with complete emotion, feelings seething with energy. Like her voice in an endless flowing spring, and to listen to it is to drink and drink and drink and drink again. I've never felt this way before. I doubt I will again. When she finally finished her set, the girl in the green dress takes a fateful step back from the microphone. Her skin beads with sweat. Her chest weaves up and down to the rhythmic beat of her exhausted heart. Her posture is tired, but proud. Her breath short, but steady. Her eyes somber, but bright, vibrant with fire. And as I watch her in those precious little moments of silence, it seems all time stops. The sheer intensity of this moment breaks over me, like a cold ocean wave. The sadness I feel at its imperience, its immediate beginning and end pulls me under. I am washed in fascination, and in that moment, the passage of time resumes. It flows hindered, ignorant that so much change had just taken place in my inner self in that brief window of frozen time. That change in my heart has just set forth in motion a long, long story, one that will not end for a very long time. A story about meeting people and saying goodbye to people. A story about arrivals and departures. A story about time. I sat alone for a while, taking this all in. After I regain my senses, I shake myself off and return to my seat at the bar. I see someone's cleared my glass from the counter. The bar attendant spots me out of the corner of his eye and comes on over. Another? I might be staying here longer than I thought. Just one. The man fulfills my request, pouring another glassful of the ambergris and placing it down before me. He takes a look around the bar and he wipes some washed plates. The sink isn't too far from my seat, and he can talk to me while he works. Busy night tonight? Busier than usual? Much. So even this counts as much busier than usual. This must be a smaller town than I originally thought. The girl helps? The bartender nods knowingly. Ah, the girl helps. Is she a real singer? I suppose any singer is a real one, but no, she's not a professional. We could never afford someone like that. Then what is she? She's young, about your age. About my age? How did you know my age? Creepy stalker. I'm just kidding. One of those student types. A student all the way out here? A bartender doesn't seem to take offense of my jab at his hometown. Don't know. She's been in town about a month now. Stays in the motel across the bridge. Usually we don't have music, but she's willing to work for cheap. She's good. She's affordable. I take a sip of my beer. From the bartender's description, the girl in the green dress seems interesting. I'd like to talk to her, if I can. You let people talk to her after her sex? He seems increasingly unsurprised. No, but you seem like a nice enough guy, so go ahead. I'll warn you though, no one's lasted long in a conversation with her. She might be a lasting girl. You never know. I take a bigger sip and cock my head. Why's that? Seems to be she's an ice queen. She's polite enough, just doesn't say very much. Doesn't want to open up to anyone about anything. That kind of girl. What? A bar singer who's too shy to talk to people? In the flesh? Of all the thoughts that crossed my mind while she was on stage, I didn't once imagine her to be shy. It must take a lot of courage to get out there and sing. So she's brave on the outside, but what's on the inside? What makes her shy? There must be something hidden in all of this. I'm far too interested to back out now. I finish off my drink to the last drop. I think I'll take my chances. You dread a dangerous path. Then he nods at something behind me. There she is now. Go ahead before she leaves. I take out some money and tuck it under my glass as payment and stand up from my seat. Your sacrifice will be remembered throughout all northern Maine. Oh, so this is in Maine. That's pretty cool that they have a setting of where, even in like a real life kind of thing. That's pretty cool. I like that. Out of the darkness in the crowd, I spot the girl in the green dress making her way toward the door. She tucked the sides of her coat tight around her, like she's trying to make herself look as small as she can. I wave over before she can leave. She sees me and stares at me blankly while I approach her. She seems surprised. That's her. That's the girl. Gosh, she's beautiful. I can't take my eyes off of her. She's absolutely breathtaking. But she's not saying a word. You're not going to want to leave for a while. There's a big snowstorm raging outside. Alright. Thank you. Off to a bad start. Actually, I was wondering if I could talk to you for a minute. It can only get worse from here. The girl in the green dress takes a moment to digest all this. Then she raises her eyebrows like she's confused, but doesn't want to admit it. What do you want to talk about? Well, about things. It got worse for me. He's like, I won't get that bad. Oh yeah, I got that. You're not gonna be talking to ladies. I'm sorry. And I've not done this in so long. The girl visually recoils. I think she's trying to hold back laughter. I shake my head and smile. Time to try again. Here, what I meant is this. I listened to you sing up on the stage. You have a really pretty voice, and I'd like to talk to you about your singing. If you'll have me, that is. I think I did better this time. I think. The girl stares at me for a little while longer. I'm helpless to urge how her reaction will be. Then, of all things, she smiles. No one's ever asked me about my singing before. Success! Wow, you finally got to the girl, man. Poor girl. I'm honored to break tradition. The girl lets out a small snicker. She lets go of the sides of her coat and rests her hands smirkingly at her sides. Hi, I'm Emmeline. Ooh, Emmeline. Good evening, Emmeline. Let me buy you a drink. I turned to be beside her and began to lead her towards the bar. I haven't spoken to people like this in a long time. I wonder what's come over me. You like her? It's like, how does it called? Love at first sight. There you go. I'm finding it so easy, naturally. Like I'm acting out my own life, not observing it. Must be something in the air. You two good for now? Yeah, thanks. Yes. Alright. Once the two of us are alone, I raise my glass at Emily and hers. They sound together with a diligent cheers. Cheers. Emmeline eagerly raises her glass to her lips and sips away. You have expensive taste in alcohol, she shrugs. Just for tonight. Smart. Finally, we drink to our healths. Afterwards follow brief introductions to learn Emmeline is 22 and I tell her I'm 25. You look much younger than 25. Can we see our face? I would like to see our face. I get that a lot. We start to get to know each other, or get to know each other a little better. Me, a professional singer? No? Not even close. Well, I'm sorry to have assumed. No, singing is just a passion of mine. I have liked it since I was a kid, and I do it when I can for money. It's nothing serious. If it's a passion of yours, then it's not nothing serious. It's not what I went to school for, is what I mean. What did you go to school for? I was studying to become a nurse. I wasn't interested in it or anything, but it was safe. There's still lots of people out there who don't like to see educated women. Oh, because it's back in the days. Oh, okay. But I'm gonna go old-fashioned history real fast. So this is like in I think it was 1967. Back then or whatever, they didn't want women to be more highly educated than men were, because men were supposed to be, the higher person working and doing stuff while the women are like housewives and all this stuff, which sadly still happens today. So yeah. It seems personal. I hope I'm not crying. And you've graduated? No. Oh, I'm sorry. What happened? Well, I'm not sure you'd want to get into it. I don't know what your politics are. I don't really involve myself in that. I don't keep myself to current. I don't have any strong opinions if that's what you're worried about. I'm listening. Anything you can think of to say, you can say it, and I'll listen. Well, I was expelled from school for protesting the war. Oh. Expelled from school for taking part in a peaceful protest? That can't be allowed. It wasn't too peaceful in the end. That explains it. It does. We stopped to sip our drinks, and I mull over in my mind what to say next. Well, I'm sorry to have pride. Emily's face softens. Really, it's fine. It's nice to get to talk about it with someone. I take it there aren't too many new opportunities to talk to people here in Cedar. Not here, no. Can I ask how you ended up here? You could, but it's not a fun story. You can imagine my parents weren't very big fans of my expulsion. I figured. They were livid, ignored with rage. They think they were going to eat me. They were so angry. Like they were going to lock me in the cellar and bury the key. While she's talking, her voice becomes strained. Obviously, this is the only I feel bad for them. They seem presuming me to find a husband, showing me off to any rich young man and or family friends who knows me by, trying to convince me to give myself up and marry a complete stranger. Made me feel like I was being peddled in some marketplace. To them, loosen up again, but only a little. That's good. I have to try and help her feel better. I hope I didn't spoil her night. I'll go ahead and take that as a compliment. Good. It was meant as one. I haven't meant to bring up bad memories. Like I said, it's fine. It's nice to finally be able to talk to someone about it. It's all been bottled up so long. I know how you feel. You can keep going if you like. Well, the rest is a lot of the same. I packed up some clothes and some books and snuck out in the middle of the night. I stayed in the city a while with friends and the like. Figured it was the safest way. After some time, though, I knew I had to get farther away than that. Somewhere my parents wouldn't find me. So I ran, wandered from place to place, took cabs and buses when I could, walked when I couldn't, hitchhiked when I absolutely needed to. It wasn't too safe, and as a girl, I had to be careful. But I was smart. I kept my eyes open, and it's taken me this far. How far is this far? Far enough. But I don't know. I called my parents a few times just to let them know I was still alive. I'm a good girl like that. At first, they were even more furious that they'd been while I was at home. They threatened to call the police after me. That's wow. Threatened me while I said I couldn't come home. But after some time, as I got farther and farther from home, as I was gone for longer and longer, they started to soften up. Hot rage turned to boiled resentment. Resentment turned to disappointment. Disappointment turned into sadness. Turned to regret. Turned to apology. Turned to them begging me to come home. Emily looked visibly shaken. I felt so bad for her. But I knew how she felt, and I knew I had to let her finish. It's been more than 2 years since I left home. They started begging by the end of the first year. I couldn't take it, so I stopped calling them. I haven't spoken to them since. Emily gazes into her reflection, caught on the polish of her empty glass, warm under the dim bar lights. The night has gone on, and many have left. Everything's quieter now. Everything is moving softer, getting slower, like the night has entered into a dreamlike state. I place a hand on Emmeline's shoulder softly. I want to comfort her. You don't want to go home? No, I do, believe me. This sort of life gets tiring after a while. Having no safety, no security, always needing to move from place to place. Searching for warmth every single night and praying every single morning. You will be able to find work and feed yourself. It drains you, it takes a lot away, and it makes you lose your sense of place. When you can't ever stay in one place too long, it feels like everything in your life has a time limit set on it. It ticks away, and it couldn't care less about what you want. The time runs out, and one by one, everything in your life melts away. People you meet, the things you gain, the sights you see, they leave, and they're left with nothing again. And do you know what you do then? Yeah, you start over. You feel like you don't have any control over anything, like you're not even the person living your life. You feel like you're only sitting back and watching events unfold, like you're an observer from the outside looking in on yourself. Emily seems surprised. It looks like I've understood her perfectly well. That's how I feel. Thank you. Don't mention it. That's truly how I feel, and I hate it. And I want to stop. And I want to go home, but I can't. I just can't go home. I don't have it in me to go home. You're afraid of what will happen if you do? I'm beyond afraid. I'm petrified. I can't even breathe right when I think about seeing my parents again. Even though this journey's taken so much away from me, I felt like just giving up and returning home isn't going to give me any of that back. It isn't. I feel like if I want to get back everything that's been drained out of me, I need to find something. I don't know what, just that it's something I'm searching for. And if I find it, I can go back and live a normal life again. Emmeline sighs. If any of that makes sense to you, I try to assure her. Really? I understand. I'm the same situation as you. I am. You're a runaway too? I shrug. Something like that, but I can't say much. Well, that's not suspicious. No, it's nothing like that. I'm not a criminal. Obviously. I'm not. I'm clean. I just need to travel a lot. It's something I have to do. I go from place to place like you. I search for things. Like you. I know you're right. I don't know before we start talking, but I get to know you. I think that's why I've told you so much about myself. I've never spoken so much about myself before. So I've heard. So that's stop skipping, keep skipping. Did I change something? Give me a second. I think I messed up on something. If I knew about what you were talking about, I definitely know now that I think that's why I've told you so much. Oh, it's going by itself. Did I do that? I think I went place to place. I'm like you. Don't worry, I know you're like that. I don't know if I knew you were starting to talk, but I definitely know. I think that's why I'm told you so much about myself. I've never spoken so much about myself before. Not in my whole life. I've never spoken much at all, really. So that's alright. You don't have to explain yourself to me. Consider an apology for me spending the last hour talking about nothing but myself. I'm sorry for you. This made me delay. Really, it's fine. I don't think I've ever talked to anyone like this before. And I'm glad I could help you finally open up about these things. It's all thanks to the fact that you like my secret so much and you need to tell me, huh? I laughed. Well, I did say you have a beautiful voice. We talk on and on, long into the night. We tell stories, learn about each other, come to understand everything there is to understand. Still, I don't tell her my secret. But the corrosion reams with life anyway. I've not spoken like this to someone in a long time. I'm not felt this way about someone in a long time. The night is long and full of joy. We keep each other's company, talking until we're the only ones left in the bar. Under the cover of the winter storm, under the dim bar lights, under the drowsy spell of nausea, we talk and talk and talk until we can talk no more. Holy poopers. You two have been sitting here and talking the whole night long. The bar's closing now. You're going to have to head on out. I'm sorry, sir. I hope we aren't a bother. You're fine, young lady, but you should have this young man escort you home. You've had a long night. But I'm not drunk. I can speak perfectly fine, see? Yes, and it's nervingly surprising how much you've had to drink. The bartender turns to me and gives me a wise, slow nod. I'll get her home safe. Ooh, so we're getting out of the bar now. The snow has finally stopped, leaving behind a sleepy town draped in white. The snow is thick, cold, soft, like the stuff of dreams. It feels like the ground itself is sleeping, drifting in time and space, and frozen in winter silence. A dormant like a slumbering beast, waiting to awaken in the snow melt. Its heart steeled by the seething cold. Like Emmeline and I are the only two waking people on the face of the entire earth. Emmeline grins at me sullenly. My knight in shining armor, are you going to escort me home and protect me from all the evil monsters? I refuse to play into her game. Yes, I swear to always safeguard you from the evils that plague the town of Cedar, Maine. Sub-zero temperatures and poorly paved roads. They really are so poorly paved. Yes, I've noticed. Your motel is across the bridge, right? My castle is, yes. Right, let's go on ahead. And so we were off. Together we strolled into the cold, huddling close to each other for warmth. Thankfully, the walk wasn't too long. We talked all the way to Emmeline's motel, despite having done nothing but for hours already at the bar. Ooh, another visual. By the way, Emmeline. Yeah? What is it? I always wondered if you knew what the meaning of that song you sang tonight was. The first one, that is. What? Loch Modon? That's the one. It's Scottish. That's all I know. My mother taught it to me, just like her mother taught it to her. She taught me a lot of folk music, I know, really. I was never as big into the heritage as she was. But to answer the question, no. I guess I don't know what it's about. I just sang the words. The folk singer who doesn't know her songs are about. I like the songs. I love how they sound. I just don't know the traditional meanings behind each and every one of them. I suppose that's fair. But Lorne Monorm, right? Isn't that about two people traveling down different roads? At surface value, yes, it's all that comes to Scottish tradition. It is believed that when a Scot dies while abroad, their soul will walk the earth to return to the mother country, so that the deceased may rest in their homeland. The road that these wandering spirits use to return to Scotland is called the Low Road, as mentioned in the song. The regular corporal roads that living people like you and I use are the high roads. The high road belongs to the living, the low road to the dead. That belief is what the song centers around. That's a bit depressing, don't you think? Quite the contrary. Think about what the lyrics are saying. You're seeing from the perspective of a Scot who died while traveling in a foreign land. You laminate that although the passage of time has taken your friends and your lover away from you, you will finally be able to end your journey and return to your home, where you can finally rest in peace. I don't know, that's still very depressing to me. I don't think so. I think it's bittersweet. The journey of the singer has come to an end, but now that it's over, you can return to where they belong. I don't know, personally, I love the song. Sometimes I feel like I take solace in it. You find comfort in a song that tells you you're going to die? I do, we all die, and every death is an ending. But what this song tells me is this: when my time comes, it will be when I have done all I can in my life. I have found what I was searching for, and I will have brought it home with me. It tells me that it will be my end, not that I will be stuck like I am, unchanging, constantly moving, always searching. This person I am right now is in constant flux, and the days of my life are numbering with a clear beginning and a faithful end. I don't see any problem in that. In fact, considering neither of us have slept all night, Some rest sounds like exactly what we need right now. Emily goes quiet, and she takes me everything I say. Yeah, I suppose you're right. We could both use some rest. You know, maybe not. Just before we reach the motel, Emmeline stops me in my track. She points off to the side of the path, where a small park lies unlit in the snow. Hey, is something wrong? No. She acts increasingly alert. Did I say something I shouldn't have? There's a cute little park here where I come to sit sometimes. I'm on top of a big hill, and if you're sitting on the benches, you can watch the sunrise and sunset from here. It's beautiful. I'd like to sit and watch the sunrise here with you, if you'd want to do that. She wants me to watch the sunrise with her? With me? Emmeline, it's late. We should really get you into your room. Emmeline points to the sky. It does look like the sun is about to rise. Violet and pink hues are starting to show in the sky, shining in faint ripples in between the clouds. See, we might as well just stay outside the whole night. She laughs softly. It looks like we just did, anyway. She's right. It has completely gone unnoticed, but we really have spent the whole night together. A new day was about to dawn. I have forgotten how quickly time could pass when you're with a certain kind of person. When you're with someone like Emmeline. You're right. Looks like we stayed up the whole night together. I chuckle. We are horribly irresponsible. Emmeline laughs more. Just a little bit. We find a bench overlooking the hillside. I swipe the snow off with the sleeve of my coat, and we sit down close to each other for warmth. Emmeline pulls herself even closer to me, tugging at my arm. She leans her head on my shoulder and shuts her eyes. You don't mind, do you? I'm so tired. I think I'll rest my eyes for a while until the sunrise starts. It's fine. I think I'll do the same thing. I close my eyes and rest my thoughts. It's been a wild night. I'm so very tired. Hey, Emmeline? Yeah? I want to tell you a story. It's a short story, but it's a complicated one. It's an important one. At the end of the story, you're going to have to decide what happens next. I want you to be completely honest with me when I ask you to do that. Alright? Emmeline yawns. Alright. I hope I'm making the right choice here. How do I even begin to explain? Say, in the world, there's a young man out there who's been given the gift of eternal youth. At first, that young man was amazed. He was filled with joy. He was forever young, forever handsome, and forever strong. The passage of time had no effect on him. It didn't chip away at him like it did everyone else he knew. He spent some time loving his new life of his, until he realized that the gift he'd been given was, in the end, a curse. Eventually, the young man saw that the passage of time could really do. He saw all the people he cared about wither away one by one. Friends, families, lovers. He could have done nothing but watch as each and every one of them fall into grip of death, from which he had been spared. He saw the pieces he knew as a child crumble into dust, forgotten, thrown away like false memories. First he lost his home, then his people, then his own way of life. He was forced to escape, to break out and enter into a new world where he did not belong. He felt lost in that new world, alone, forgotten, and eventually he got used to it. He realized there wasn't any point in wallowing in despair, at the point he's never given. And so he started to rebuild. He gave himself a new life, a new identity. But he lived knowing that there was one thing he could never do. He could never stay in one place for too long. If he did, he knew he would build bonds. He would form memories with the new places he found and the new people he met. He would make friends. He would feel emotions all over again, in all their full intensity. And that was something he could not afford. Because he knew any bond he built would come only crushing down upon him in the end. The more people he came to know, the more people who did partridge would hurt him. The more time he spent in any one place in the world, the more pain he was damning himself to suffer. He was truly cursed. All he could do was run farther and farther and farther, as far as he could go toward infinity. As long as time continued to pass, he suffered the life of a wanderer descended to be alone. But one night, he meets someone, and that someone makes him feel some way he had not felt since before his journey ever began. Someone special, someone like him, who understood him, who felt his pain, who knew how it felt to endure. He thinks he's found someone that could teach him how to love again. But he knows if he stays there with that person he's found, he will only hurt them in the end. Because he stays with that person, that someone, they will age and he will not. They will die and he will not. And in his vulture to die, he will rob them their chance at a normal life. He will take their life and his own, and in the end, he will find himself all alone again. What does he do then? What choice does he make? Does he stay or does he leave? Does he chase the chance at true emotion, even if the knowing knows in the end that will cause only despair? Tell me, what choice does he make? What choice does he make, Emmeline? What choice do I make? Emmeline? I open my eyes. I see the sun has begun to rise. To my side, Emmeline is fast asleep. I take a long final look at her. She's so beautiful. Her heartbeat pulses through her skin, through her dress, through her coat, through all the way to me. So he has had so many friends and family before his eyes, and he cannot age. So he sees everybody that he loves and cares about die in front of him. That is so sad. That's so depressing now. Wow. I could feel it drum steadily against me. I could feel it throb over and over again, full of such amazing life. I watch her breath freezing as it comes out in the crisp cold air. Her skin is soft and warm to the touch. I think of her and how she treated me, a stranger, who hadn't even told her his name, with nothing but kindness. This is a real person beside me, with a real heart pumping real blood, with real emotions and real thoughts, and the most beautiful voice I've ever heard in my life. This is Emmeline, and no matter how greatly I long to be with her, I cannot stay with her. She cannot stay with me. It was never meant to be. I stand carefully, holding her still to make sure she doesn't wake up. Once I'm off the bench, I set her down to be as comfortable as I can make her. Thankfully, it's warming up, and I think she'll wake up soon after I leave. Just in case, I take off my coat and wrap it around her to make sure she's warm enough. I glance at the sunrise out on the horizon. I can't bear to look at it too long. I turn back, gaze at her one last time. The girl in the green dress sleeping on the porch bench. If only things had been different, then perhaps I could be happy once more. I begin to walk away. I stop myself from looking back. Emmeline? I'm sorry. Goodbye. I walk away into wilderness as the shine rises over the trees. I vanish like a ghost from a dream, wiping tears from my eyes. All I leave behind are footsteps in the snow that are soon swept away by winter wind. June 13, 1987. June. In May is still June. I should be accustomed to walking on baking a foot by now, probably. I travel light, always have. The weight I carry has nothing to do with what's in my path. Heavy thoughts are always with me, my memories constant companies on the road. So many roads, so many paths, so many years it seems. feels like forever since I was last in Canada. I wonder if it will still feel the same. Raw and wild, and meaningfully untouched. Something tells me it will always have that feel, no matter how much concrete, glass, or coal. I think that memories can be that way. As the years pass, the details suddenly shift, but the feel seems to stay the same. But again, we can choose to let certain memories fade. The memories will allow me to forget. I'm aware of my footfalls on the unrolled drone of the insects in the tall grass that parallels me. Feel the hot sun on my skin, the gentle harnish to the yellow light. That few clouds in the unformally blue sky are static and wistful, as though painted on a canvas. There is no breeze to add energy to my experience. The leaves of the trees are still like the clouds. This is so pretty. I love the scenery. So pretty. I am literally passing through a long series of moments unbroken by motion. I am certainly broken by emotion, except for me. If I'm the only thing moving, does that mean that the world is a canvas and I am little more than a thought passing through? My mind soars across the tapestry of my experience, touching down on an array of memories, then taking flight again in search of the next place of interest. The miles pass, the sounds and sun in the grass and trees blending into a nearly uniform pattern. It seems as though the only thing truly moving on my thoughts, the sensation of that notion integrates me, distracts me until a new sound breaks the spell forever. Time is suddenly back on the clock, and it's ticking. It's the sound of a large diesel engine of an empty wheel. I am rippled out of my red on the beautiful Montana road, finding myself jaggeringly present. The driver of a large red truck downshifts as he descends the slow road, leveling off and closing the distance to his soul. Black thumbs puckering briefly from the twin slats behind the cab. Well, what the heck? Maybe he'll take a rider for a while. I turn and begin to walk backwards and stick my thumb in the air. A few short seconds pass and the driver begins downshifting again, the engine braking, indicating to me that I am able to replace the drone of insects and the heat of the sun with the rhythm of an engine and the chill of air conditioning. The truck passes me slowly, coming to a halt just a few yards later. The hiss of the air brakes and solid rattling drone of the engine waiting for me. I walk up to the door as the window smoothly slides down. I step on the running board with a hand on the mirror brace to render a green will be my traveling companion for God knows how. Morning, sir. Where are you heading? I feel gently friendly as the two of us engage in that old age-old somebody that travelers have always done, leading to a grunt instinct above trust. It makes more seconds for us all to decide. Levis just south of Beckford City and straight through Maine. He has an accent straight out of the American Midwest and looks to be about 50 years old. I cannot remember the last time I thought that was a man. How about you? As far as you'll take me, that's what I'd say. Hop in and let's put some miles behind us then, buddy. I swing the heavy door wide and slide in, then set my pack at my feet before closing the window and belting myself in. I never thought about 18-wheelers having a new car smell, but this one did. It was obviously new to the road and very well maintained. Wow, this truck is beautiful. The trucker laughs and then pats the large center console lovingly. She's not even 3 months old. We're still getting used to each other. The trucker is wearing a gray t-shirt and jeans, the bald cap, flag on the front. He had two faded green tattoos, one on each arm. His hair is cut a little on the short side and hasn't shaved in a couple of days. By the looks of it. I drove my last truck about 2 years. She decided that she would run her last mile. It still feels a little weird driving without her. The way the trucker spoke about his truck felt instantly familiar. I found myself nodding in unison. This new one though, I think she and I are going to be together for most of my entire life. So where did we come from? I'm sitting in it. I've been living on the road and out of my class for years. Being gone so much was never a good fit for a home life. Besides, I have a bit of a wanderlust. Right? But you can as far as you are from, well, anywhere. The trucker spoke while he smoothly shifted gears, the powerful truck pulling its load effortlessly, the vibrations of the huge engine absorbed by surprisingly comfortable seats. The AC felt rejuvenating too. Yeah, I've been traveling for most of my life. First in the army, then when I got home from the war, I just couldn't sit still. Been on the road ever since. I tend to stick around a place for a while myself, and then it just feels like it's time to go, I guess. Yep, I know what you mean, buddy. Once I got home from the war, I never really felt like I fit in, no matter how much I wanted to. I didn't understand why. I figured I'd find what I was looking for in life. And did you? To be honest, I'm not sure. But I did find happiness, and that's what all the hippies were always talking about. So I guess at least I found something. I think there's a certain freedom to plenty of time to think, that's for sure. I drive, and when I feel like resting myself. As long as I stay on schedule, nobody pays me much mind. And that's just fine with me. The truckers shared a bit of his life with me. I watched the coil cord of the CB radio 6 through. Plenty of time with me. The trucker and I really do seem to have a lot in common. Sometimes I think I probably missed out on quite a bit of life. Though, to be honest, I mean, I have family and I keep up with them well enough. So I sort of let them live more normal lives for me, if that makes any sense at all. I think it makes a lot of sense. I have tried the normal life for a few times, but always end up back on the road in the end, waiting for the next stop. You have to think about driving trucks. It seems like you're a good fit for it. Better than walking all the time, that's for sure. I've never considered it to be honest, but I see your point. I'm not sure if the pace would feel quite right though. Walking has such a familiar feel to it for me. I'm not sure if I can much change. Most people are creatures of habit. You can't deny that. In a way, being a drifter is a habit too. I can't disagree. Although for me, it's as much need as it is a habit. No matter how much I like a place, I just can't stay. Eventually it's time to go, whether I like it or not. Some of us just aren't meant to put down roots. The deeper the roots, the harder it is to tear yourself away from something. I imagine you're right about that. The conversation falls into a comfortable silence. The world outside passes by. Eyes move to the distance, taking in the slow approach of forest and roadside meadows, and following in the minor, gradual currents as the road makes its way down northward. Looking out of the side window and forcing a little closer reveals how fast we really are going. The tree is more of a blur, the details of more elusive and difficult to focus on. It's about perspective, really. Looking forward into the future, things seem further away, moving more slowly. You can take your time to consider it, and think about where you might be going. Looking around at where you are in the moment, that feels much more fleeting. The pace is quicker. It can be difficult to fully notice all the details before things change. The past, however, is always there. lost their natural pace. For them, there is a beginning and an end, another part of this life. I would like to take my time. Many people say that they feel rushed. I feel opposite. And exploration of each period of normal. They have a finite amount of life and can live normally within the time they are given, whereas I was nothing but time struggle. Perspective affects the way we live. The passing of time, I think, does too. No matter what happens, I always end up gradually losing sync with everyone around me. Relationships, friends, co-workers. Every time I find a good place, a good thing, the clock starts ticking. The longer I stay, the louder the ticking. And the more of a sync I become, the deeper my roots become. Eventually, I must move on. I rip myself out of that life, tearing others and leave the mourning behind them, as well as the emotional record shared. People will never understand why. I know deep down inside that it is best to avoid making any meaningful connection because I will have to move on, and I hate myself for making anyone share that with me. They don't deserve it. But once in a while, a connection just happens. I wish that I could just enjoy that simple experience without the inevitability that shadows that should be something beautiful, something simple. Always shadows. Always. I'm lost in thought, traveling through time in my head. When an all too familiar name that I have been desperately trying not to think about demands that his presence be known. Emmeline. I speak it out loud, not realizing that the trucker might hear it over the sound of the engine. Emmeline, huh? Is she why you've been lost outside that window for the past hour? His half smile is seemingly knowing and weird. I exhale an empty laugh. I wonder if he isn't right about that. The trucker lets the moment sit for a few seconds, then cocks an eyebrow. It's funny. As much as I loved my old truck, I never gave her a name. Some truckers do, the sentimental ones anyway. I wondered why I never named her. At first I thought that he dropped his interest in my and my compilations, but as the trucker spoke, I realized that he wasn't delighting in his fellow trucker's life. He was sharing the journey. I was closer to that old truck, and that I was with him. I do admit that I had plenty of conversations with her. All the time, actually. She was a pretty good listener. But it's funny, the more my brothers and I stopped conversations, we came up with new ones. It seems like at the time that we were all just close. But I wondered if maybe it was something else. Maybe there was a way for us to not get too close after all. Makes me wonder, you know. I think that for a moment, the girl in the room just she unassumingly commanded my attention. There was something about her that drove me in, captivated me. But when I had learned her name, it became personal, intensely personal. We shared such a connection. And then I had to go. I had no choice. I cared too much for her to put her through what should have to come, what always has to come. I cared for her. I only took one night and a name. I think you may just be onto something there, sir. We both spent the next few hours in total silence. Expect for a brief softer feel, roadside coffee and a bathroom break, a few travelers sharing a journey. It was a good day. The sun was beginning to show the age of the day. The trees were beginning to cast shadows over the road, and the forest signs were beginning to reflect like the golden sunlight so characteristic of the long summer days. Cedars, 30 miles. Hey! I shifted in my seat, watched the sign as my clothes went into the sea, and my eyes truck becomes a gradual stop in a gravel pull-off. Heavy tires crunching, air brakes squealing, engine slowing to an idle. Everything's slowing down. The trucker sets the brake and cuts the engine off. It shuddered through the big vehicle, implying a little more than a brief stop. He lifts to the door latch and half opens the door, one foot reaching for the running board. It'll be a little bit, so feel free to stretch your legs. There is a hint of something in his voice, almost a knowing tone. This guy really is sensitive for having spent so much time alone on the road. Goes with the territory, I suppose. I'll see you in a bit, buddy. There is a hint of confidence now on the trucker's face. I am certain there's no iron connected to the sea, and that it is Trucker's moves right into the gravel as he heads off. You need to choose which one you will go. I wake up this morning expecting to walk all day, possibly in a truck with nothing to do. For a while, I rode with another traveler and my thoughts. It is interesting that despite the seemingly randomness of the day, it's the one that would see exactly what my thoughts really mean. Stay and go. While I consider what I do, I shut the heavy door of the big red machine to recall the layout of the little town quietly waiting before me. As I tried to decide what to do, I began walking along the single main road through cedar. The trees are thick here, providing ample shade interspersed with patches of wanting sunlight. I passed the general store on the right. I need to make a choice. I walk up to see the path to the bench that overlooks the sunrise. It hits me. Did I ever really have a choice today? My path was leading me back to Cedar one way or another. The road, the trucker, the thoughts, all of it led me to Cedar. I veer left, cross the road, and step onto the old wooden stairs to Hearth and Home. The steps have a reassuring organic feel to them. Oddly rustic and welcoming. I can feel warmth radiating from the sense of I think I'm going to give this a shot. It is almost as though they led me here, and on some unexpected level, I can feel that I was headed wrong. My hand closes around the old glass iron door handle, which is sound of the truck's engine passing by. Followed by the blow of the air horn. As the trucker continues on his own path, the surrounding forest swallows up the roar of the engine and as suddenly as they roar there, they are gone. There is a large music making Doris open the The fading light from outside relays to him. The bartender looks up to greet his first customer of the day. My eyes take a second to adjust, but there is no doubt this place really hasn't changed. The present and the past crushed together, and are surprisingly nearly indistinguishable. The bartender in a bit of an exception though. His hair is gray, and his face has more lines than when last we met. He sets a glass down behind the old polished dark wood bar, and there is a look of growing recognition in his eyes, but the same look is clouded by doubt. Afternoon, what can I get you? The bear should be fine, thank you. Got it. The bartender smoothly blah blah. The buffet fills the glass and sets it down in front of me on a pale white napkin, making brief eye contact that somehow conveys the notion that he has said the concept. So just passing through again? I look up from my beer and look at him. There is a small smile and a knowing look on his face. His memory is excellent. What did I say? I was thinking that maybe this time I'll say a bit longer. The weather's nice here, that's for sure. You know, I never forget a face. Then again, normally those faces age a little in 20 years. How are you? It's a long story. Believe that. No, I counted every day since I went back. Why haven't you returned? Surely you wouldn't have come back here after 2 entire days just so much. I'm not entirely sure, to tell you the truth. I A gently silence fills the air between us, and he hands me the beer, and I take a sip, clearing my throat. I'm not sure if you will be able to help me, but I have a favor to ask. Shoot. Last time I happened my way into the bar, do you remember the charming girl in green? Her voice was enchanted, one of the kind. Really, whatever happened to her? Emmeline? Well, luck would have it. She still lives here in Cedar. Actually, she still comes to help out from time to time here at that desolate place. Eyes light up with this very, very good news. She's still here, and after all this time, I can hardly believe it. Yeah, she lives just down the road with her husband and the young boy. Oh, no. I feel crushed. I'm not sure what I was expecting really, but it hurts either way. The bartender must have caught on as it continued. Does this change anything? I assume you had something in mind. Well, it should. It doesn't. I'm not entirely sure what I would have done. It would be wrong for me to ask you about this. Well, I would give it to you regardless. It is nothing necessary. She comes by every morning with her son to set up for the day. She should come back tomorrow. As I assume you're going to stay for a while? Yeah, I'll be here. Thanks, really. It's a lot. How much you need? Anything for an old friend. With that, I sip on my beer and think of the fear that she won't recognize me once again crosses my mind. But I push it off in search of a bed to lay on my head. I nod to the bartender to make my way to a local motel to rest up for the night. The next morning, I arrive early enough to help the bartender with the tables, stools, and chairs. The sworn wood seems to be embody the place as a whole, well sworn with time and filled with warmth. I take a seat in front of the bar as the old man organizes the rainbow of colored glass bottles behind me. Calm down, son. You'd think someone with as much experience as you would have learned to deal with this situation. Saying goodbye is easy. But the return and the greeting, the old man met my eyes and declined his head toward the door. Making my best effort to keep my door, I noticed Emmeline and her son, probably around 7 years old, an inquisitive blue-eyed boy with brown hair. Oh my gosh, she's cute. Emmeline glances around the bar and seems mildly disappointed. Her gaze flits over me as it would one of the table. She approaches the old man. You set up without me? Sorry, I would have mentioned earlier that I had a new employee in training. He helped me this morning. We still have the stages set up though. I'll get you some work yet. She looks at me directly for the first time, but there is no spark of memory in her eyes. Only the casual friendliness of someone greeting a new acquaintance. Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Emmeline. And this is my son Michael. Michael plays with the collar of his shirt and averts his eyes. Hi. I give him a smile and a wave, and then extend my hand to Emmeline. She shakes it. I take a page out of Michael's book. I'm too nervous to meet her gaze directly through you all. It's nice to meet you both. Right, well, that stage isn't going to set up itself. Why don't you and Michael teach the screeny here the ropes? I've got a few more glasses to clean. Emily nods and gestures for Michael to follow her to the stage. Have you ever worked in a bar before? I know my ways around one. Don't we all? Michael climbs up on the front of the stage and seems to be opening a band that contained the cables. How old are you? 25? I'm a little older than I look. I'm assuming he's done this before. Emmeline walks beside the stage to retrieve a broom and a dustpan before starting to sweep behind the speaker amps and other sound equipment. Yeah, he loves to listen to music, so this is right about his alley. It's karaoke night tonight, so the setup will be a little different. I set about putting the microphone center stage and I feel something nudge my leg. I see Michael holding my cable toward me. That one goes with this one. Oh, thanks. What kind of music do you enjoy, Michael? I take the cable he offered me and hook it up. Surely enough, the audio jack ports are the correct sizes, and the cable is long enough to walk around the stage with it if necessary. The stray cat. And he looks at his mother for answers, looking anxious. You remembered Dolce mode. Sometimes you listen to Michael Jackson. Wow. I'm more of a Simon and Garfunkel guy myself. The new stuff isn't bad, but there's something about the acoustic guitars. It brings to mind open road and people singing in new bars, soft atmospheres, and a good crowd. Emmeline looks back at me and gives me a genuine smile. Not the practiced friendliness of polite greetings, but something with altogether more substance. Michael and I finished setting up of the relevant chords. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Well, it's about time. I have to get Michael to school. Emily waves goodbye to the bartender and takes Michael's hand, walking toward the door. Same time tomorrow? Have a good day. Emily pauses before she reaches the door and freezes in place. At first I wonder if she had forgotten something, but then she turns and I see it. That spark of remnants the warmth of her eyes and signifies memory. Now she knows who I am. She remembers that night. 2 decades past. She brings a hand to her cheek as Michael tugs at her shirt. Mommy, are you okay? I'm alright. Let's get you to school. I sigh and lean against the worn mahogany of the bar, and I can hear the bartender pouring a glass of something. It didn't bother to turn around. My eyes were fixed on the road, watching them drive away. Well, you couldn't have been expecting anything else, could you? No, I couldn't have. Do you want to hear the story of that winter night? Yeah, why not? This is for you, by the way. Looks like you could use it on the house. I turn enough to pick it up, and I take a sip, but my gaze remains on the road. Emmeline is long gone by now, but I can't bring myself to look inside again. Not just yet. I don't know how much you remember, and I left after talking, really bonding, at one of those tables by that window. I gesture in that general direction with a finger extended from my hand that felt my drink. The brownish fluid soolish around behind the indicate lines in the glass. I realized that it was the same kind I had used that night so many years ago. We walked out of this place together and explored the town after dark. We sat on that bench, overlooking the snow, talking to ourselves. Such a simple yet meaningful thing, sitting close and talking. I brought up the legend of the Wanderer. I didn't think she'd take it seriously, but she did. She listened, and in the end she identified with it. Of course, you know Emmeline's story, how she got here. She has every bit as much wanderlust as I did. I take a sip of my glass and I turn around before looking into the cup. Or had. I guess everyone else, like me, eventually grows out of the phase. I suppose a part of me realized it then. I didn't want to break her heart, so I left. Ultimately, I shouldn't be surprised that she didn't remember me at first. I'm sure she had to deal with her share of people walking out of her life. It was only one night. It was a long night. The old man puts a comforting hand on my shoulder. I didn't think Emmeline would ever settle down, but her husband, well, you'd like him. He runs the Tri-Country newspaper, takes the family camping often in the summer and autumn. You couldn't ask for a better life for her or her son in this town. I nod and hand the bartender back his glass. Thanks for the drink, and thanks for the cover earlier. Do you really need some help around here? That I do. If you want to settle in for a few years, I'd love to have you around. But you know what happens if you stay, Wanderer. You sure you want to deal with that? I ran a hand through my hair and looked outside, wondering what it would be like to stay in this town for a few years. I think I'm going to get some fresh air. If I return, you'll know my answer. If I don't, well, you'll know just the same. Exactly, if you wouldn't mind, I think I need a break for today. If that's okay with you, that is. Yeah, I'll close up shop. I'll keep everything straight, don't worry. The bartender nods, wipes a few more surfaces, and heads out. He gives me one last fleeting smile before the door closes with an odd sense of finally. With that, I am left alone. The emptiness of the bar fills the air. Silence keeping me company as it has the past 100 years. The familiar smells of drafts, the atmosphere of the community made a vagabonds and travelers, friends and families of those with homes, and for those who have yet to find theirs, the familiar sense of loneliness. Have I found my home? Is this my final resting place? Is this where I will eke out the rest of my existence, however long it may take me? I honestly don't know. The heat of the bar begins to concentrate my breathing. The weight of it all crushes down. Pacifically, the warm lights a blazing fire. Tugging at my collar, I grab my belongings and walk out the door. It closes ever so softly behind me, the entrance framing and wall. I turn and make my way down the street. Buildings both new and old guide me, gradually giving way to more and more mature nature as I continue my journey. I find myself in front of a large, somewhat young tree. Its appearance does little to betray the true age of the form, being perhaps only 100 years old or so. This is as good as a place as any. I sit against it, allowing the trunk to support the trunk to support. I ache like an old man despite having no reason to. My body is fine, my body is fine. Despite my mind not being sick, cool air fills me, embracing me as the wind stands upon my skin. The tree responds to me, and I wake sway in this way. That lively amount is full, youthful, and energetic. Life only just beginning from the outside. I sit motionless, knowing that it must come. I need not distract myself. I have a very important decision. It's a simple decision. Accepting a normal person born in the wind quiets down, all things listening instantly to my very word, my every thought. I guess in reality, the more important question is whether or not she would care. Does she remember me? The moment earlier gave me the feeling, but how could she forget that magical night? Out of many years of existence, that is the only memory that I am certain to never lose. Maybe she just did what I never could. The air turns frigid human. Someone shakes me out of my heel. I trace my thoughts and my memories. Rain. Rain. The rain continues to shake me, spreading through my clothes, across my clothes change. I know what I have to do. It isn't about me. It's about everyone else, isn't it? I can't keep hurting people like this. It's for the better that I don't stay. Why? Stay! Wait. You'd have to keep secrets, hide me away, or worse still. They have to die, me and my internal youth, being what they once were and what they could never be. They'd all die, and I'd still be there, forever burying them. The job of a father of war or the son of peace. I'm not like them. I'm not one of them. It is not my place to be here, to serve as a constant reminder of what they must have, or what I am fated to never live here. Shivering now, I try to stand up and walk away with everything. Can't. My muscles refuse to respond, screaming at me, aching through and through. My heart gives out, telling me that my brain never would, but instead, don't run away from her. Stay here. Don't leave her again. No, I can't stay here. And yet, I can't leave her either. The rain penetrates the canopy pouring over me, hearing me from my few short moments of quiet security. I'm sorry that you have to go through this again. I force myself through the pain, standing on my feet without, regaining my stature. I leave the knuckle-up embrace of the tree out into the chill weather. Looking up from my swollen boots, my vision is blocked by one thing I have planned to never see again. It reads simply, Peter, me. It blinks a simple representation of the place the family that had grown to love. The aching becomes unbearable, and I'm forced to lean against the sign. My full weight causes the sign to waver, temporarily until it catches itself accepting me. I cannot see the world beyond the sign. My vision entirely blocked. I've made my decision. Please, get out of my way. The sign remains quiet, as it always was. I beg, I plead, I can't watch them die. I can't be here. Only pain will come from this. Once again, I will be alone. Once again, I will be held down by my regret. They remain. The clouds begin to dissipate. The cold rain gone. The warm air flooding down back into me. The crickets begin to chirp. Frogs ever so loud. Life filling the air. So the decision has been made for me. I turn back from the sign, the town of Cedar, Maine, staring right back at me, expecting me to return as if I never had a second thought. The humid air clings to my skin as I made my way back to the bar. I passed the tree once again, waving its leaves to the wind, welcoming me back. I pass that as the building becomes less sparse and the nature decides, the bar enters my vision. I enter my home, the heat helping warm my clothes and my skin. I look at the things around me in appreciation, wiping the bar, cleaning it as if it were my own. December 2002. Ooh. A lone vocalist in a violet dress takes the stage in the hearth and home. She appears to be close to Michael's age, who is now 24. The girl glazes at the expectant faces all around her. A hush falls over the crowd, and she leans into the microphone, and her face betrays not a single emotion but pure wonder. It's almost as she's somewhere else, remembering better times, preparing to sing to herself in a world that stood still, hanging off her every word. The young woman starts to sing, and the merger's audience is immediately captivated. She begins softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Come over the hills, my bonny Irish lash. Come over the hills to your darling. You choose the road, love, and I'll make the vow. And I'll be your true lover forever. Her voice is beautiful and wraps around the dark air of the old bar. I knew this song, knew it well. Though I heard it sung better before I admit. Red is the rose that in yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Borneo. My love is fairer than any. She has one of the best voices I've heard in all my life. I've only been absorbed in song once before. The voice of the girl in the blue dress grows and grows and grows, only to fill the air with complete emotion, feeling something with energy. With a voice and an endless flowing stream, and to listen to it is to drink and drink and drink again. It's nice to feel this way one more time, even if it's not as strongly. The girl in the blue dress while she finishes red is a rose and prepares for her next song, she takes a fateful step out of her makeup. Her skin beats with sweat. Her chest moves up and down in the rhythmic beat of her self-discipline. Her posture is tired, but proud. Her breath short and steady. Her eyes somber, but bright, vivid with fire. She steps back up to the mic and keeps on singing. Across the bar stand the current employees of the Hearth and Home, Candace and Michael. The latter having taken the job his mother once held to help pay for his education. Candace and I are having a lovely conversation, but Michael's unwavering attention is set on the young performer. Hey, Michael. Candace tries to grab her employee's attention, but has little success. Mike, hello in there. Candace finds a defeated sigh and waves a hand in front of Michael's face, jolting him back to reality. Sorry, Candace, what did you need? Candace laughs at the young man. She's clearly embarrassed him, so it's no surprise that his face has become several shades redder than some of the vines behind the bar. Table 4 was waving you down for refills. Get out there, bud. Oh, right, I'm on it. Michael prepares several mugs of draft beer, loads them onto the tray, and heads onto the floor. All the while, he pays only minimal attention to his task, still smitten by the young singer. He reminds me of a story my father would tell me. I know the story you mean, all too well. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. No, it's alright. Michael returns from his waiting duties. Candace gives him a good long stare, and he blushes again. I know she's pretty, but please, do try to pay attention to our patrons, okay? Yes, ma'am. Candace laughs, the way her father used to sometimes laugh, with her entire body, hands on her stomach, and leaning back. Michael turns away from his boss, back to the singer. The young performer begins the last verse of her song. I remember one night, in the drizzling rain, around my heart I felt a aching pain. Fare thee well, my honey, fare thee well. Fare thee well, I get it. The song's end is met with a quiet yet suitable applause. I feel reminiscent about my similar experience in the very same bar 35 years prior and smile in spite of myself. I propose an idea to the young man across the bar. Why don't you buy her a drink after she finishes her set? That's ridiculous. I can't do that. I don't even know her. And how could asking possibly hurt? Besides, you don't need to know her to become friends. I'm nothing more than a stranger to her, though. Ha! Now that's ridiculous. As my father would say, strangers are just friends you haven't met yet. But what if, Mike, you can make excuses till the sun comes up and you're blue in the face. Or you can ask the lady to have a drink with you. Michael stops his protesting and considers the words his companions have shared with him. For a moment, he looks as though he plans to ignore the advice he has deceived. However, one quick glance at Candace and I confirm that no is not an option. I guess you guys aren't giving me a chance, huh? Absolutely not. Now then, let's talk strategy. Candace's eyes share a laugh while Michael looks on, terrified at the prospect of whatever scheme Candace has in store. Mike, that's the end of the set. Get over there and ask her to join us. Candace, are you sure that's a good idea? Of course it is. All my ideas are good ideas. If it weren't anyone else, I'd disagree. Come on, Michael, get over there. Michael closes his eyes, tenses his body, and hesitantly walks toward the stage. This ought to be good. We should be able to hear from here, though. You should be able to hear from here, senses of a hawk, I tell you. You flatter me. As Rosa finished the final verse of her set, the dwelling crowd offers up a surprising applause. After the applause dies down, Michael approaches the stage with an ounce of reckless. Rosa, who is gathering her things, notices him and welcomes him with a greeting, catching him somewhat off guard. Candace was right. I can hear them through just barely. Oh, hello there. You work here, right? Hello. Yes, I work here. That classic awkward Michael charm is second to none. Well, my name is Rosa. What about you? Oh, me? I'm Michael. Rosa tucks her hair behind her ear. It's nice to meet you, Michael. Yeah, you too. Rosa waves and begins to walk away. Wait, excuse me, Rosa. Rosa turns back to face Michael. Yes, what is it? I was wondering if you're not busy, if you'd like to join my friends and I for a drink. Well, I haven't got any plans, so come in. Michael is clearly surprised that the answer came as easy as it did. Really? Rosa struggles and giggles and smiles. I haven't got any plans, and I'm sure you and your friends will be fun. Michael's face lights up with joy. In that case, we're sitting right over there. What are they saying? Why, they're coming. Oh, Michael is laying down the moves, I see. You're having too much fun with this. Candace says a carefree laugh out. I'm not having enough fun. Hey guys, this is Rosa. After some quick introductions, Candace takes everyone's drinks. They're all in the house. We all cheer for Candace's hospitality together. Thank you, Candace. That's too kind of you. I'll listen in as the other three around the table share their stories, occasionally pitching in my own experiences. Michael and Rosa are fast friends. By the end of the first hour, the pair get along as if they'd known each other all their lives. The bar's patrons dwindle until we are the only people left in the building. But even after everyone else has gone, we stay, sharing stories of loss and of hope, of dreams and regrets. Rosa begins to tell her story, and her eyes light up with a childlike happiness. When I was younger, all I ever wanted to do was go to school instead of music. It has always been my passion, so I worked at it for the time I first saw a future in it, until I had realized the dream. But the light in our eyes fades into our quiet sadness. When I finally made it to new school, it just didn't feel right. I had worked so hard for so long, years after years, but the culmination of my entire childhood led me to disappointment. But I was still determined. Never mind that I couldn't seem to have any friends or do well in my classes. Music was still my passion, so everything else be darned. Rosa wiped a tear from my cheek. From all my effort and determination, halfway through my first year, I dropped out. I hit rock bottom. I've hated myself for quitting, but I never saw an alternative. I wasn't happy, and I'm sure as heck not happy now, and I'm better than I was. So I can say with certainty that I don't regret making that decision. What I'm unsure about is where I'm going now. All I have is my music and the will to keep moving forward. So since leaving school, I've been traveling wherever the music takes me. I hope that it can one day lead me to true happiness. I guess for now, I'm just along for the ride. Candace raises her glass. Well, heck, I'll drink to that. Rosa nods gratefully to Candace and turns to Michael. I guess I could say I understand some of those feelings. I finished school, but it hasn't really done me much good. As soon as I graduated, I came right back home to Cedar. And, oh, wait. Michael is... Oh, it's her son. Wow, he's grown up. I get it now. Hey. My brain just kind of just clicked on that. And I didn't just come back from my mother. Of course, I had to, given her health these days. But even if she were in good health, I know I'd still be here. I kind of feel like I'm in some kind of void, stuck between childhood and true adulthood. Sometimes something is holding me back, but I don't know what it is. And I can't for the life of me figure out why. The idea of that Michael was drawn back to Cedar makes me chuckle. In my experience, getting away from Cedar, one heck of a task. Not that Cedar's a bad place, mind you, it just has this pull, for lack of a better word. Candace nods in agreement. Cedar's always been good to me and mine. Candace waves a hand over her shoulder, monitoring into the empty Heathland home. This old girl's been in the family for 4 generations now. My father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all put their lives into this place, and I'll be darned if I don't do the same. But this life isn't for everyone. Maybe you just need to broaden your horizons, see more of what's out there. Michael considers this for a moment. Maybe, but I haven't really felt like my life ever needed to start somewhere else. Then what are you missing, Mike? Michael slumps in defeat. I honestly don't know. Out of the 3 of them, I can relate most to Rosa. She seems to feel like there isn't a place where she belongs. Even so, I can sympathize with Michael and Candace. But unlike myself or Rosa, Candace is very deeply rooted here in Cedar. Though I've grown to consider her a close friend, or about as different can get. Michael reminds me of Emily, which of course comes as a surprise. He likes his life in Cedar, but he's mindful of his future and where it might take him. I look from my empty glass in which I had been absent mindlessly, been turning over my hand and catch Rosa's eyes. She constantly meets my gaze. How about you? Do you have any goddess dreams or aspirations? Any memorable failures that landed you where you are now? Yeah, quite a few now than I could count at this point. She narrows her eyes in suspicion. Nearly I've piqued her interest. I used to be a lot like you, looking for somewhere I could belong, going everywhere around the roads with you. There's nothing wrong with that. No shame in it whatsoever. It takes time to discover who you are and find out who you want to be. So what advice can you give? Advice? I hardly think I'm qualified to be giving advice to anyone. I'm not considered with qualifications. I just wanted to hear what a simple mind has to tell me. In that case, the best thing I could offer to you is the belonging that you've searched for, you may never find it. Where circumstances different, I might still be searching for it. What you can do that will make all the difference is really quite simple. Life is going to go on, regardless of what you do. Don't just let it happen. Take charge of your own life. Even though you may not find what you search for, it will make that search easier. I've always had trouble putting that into words. It's been in the back of my mind for as long as I can remember, but words always seem to fail me. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you aren't going to find what you're looking for if you are so caught up in your search that you can't see what's in front of you. Rosa sits back in the chair, looks rather confused. I'm sorry if that doesn't make sense. I'm not the best with speaking my thoughts. She shakes her head. No, I think I understand. Candace laughs her usual laugh. I have no idea what you just said, but I know you're probably right. Anyhow, it looks like we could all use another round. I'll be right back. As Candace goes to retrieve our drinks, my thoughts wander to Emmeline, as they so often do. Tell me, Michael, how's Emmeline doing these days? What? Hours pass and it's clear that we've all reached our limit. The clock behind our bar reads 3:36. My goodness, I've realized how late, well, early it's gotten. I really should be going. Rosa stands and puts on her coat. Thank you for a wonderful evening. It's truly grateful. Rosa, would you mind if I walk you back to the motel? Candace sneaks a wink and a thumbs up in my direction. I can't help but grin. Well, okay, that's very nice of you to offer. As the two prepare to leave, Candace begins to wipe up while I lean back in my chair to stretch my tired bones. Hey, Rosa, could you just wait by the door? I'll be there in just a minute. Sure. Michael, now standing in front of me alone, turns to me. I just wanted to thank you. Tonight has been one of the most memorable nights of my life, and it's all thanks to your encouragement. There's no need to thank me. We all have a good time. I think it's time I left Cedar. I've spent more time in this little town than I intended to. It's the first time I ever came back somewhere. But now it's time to move on. Life will go on here, just as it always has. My journey is far from finished. This place has taught me a lot, and I'd like to think I've gotten something back. Though no other place will ever quite fill the gap Cedar will definitely leave in my life, I choose to make Cedar a part of me, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. Maybe I don't need to thank you, but let me anyway. You've always been a good friend to me. Let me do the same for you. Michael extends his hand to me, and I take it in mind. We exchange a handshake meaningfully full to each other in different ways. Thank you. Bye, Michael. I take a long look around the cozy bar I've become so familiar with. I see the tables and the booths where Candace's loyal patrons gather after a long day's work. I see the bar where I first met Candace, her father before her. I see the stage where I first saw Emmeline all those years ago, the same stage that Rosa just performed a few hours ago. I close my eyes and breathe in the familiar scent of pine, fire, and alcohol. I will surely miss Cedar. I miss the hearth and home. I'll miss Candace, Michael, and now Rosa. I'll miss Emmeline. I will miss them all, but I will never forget them. I stand and walk over to the coat rack, which sits beside the door. My coat is now hanging alone. After putting on my coat I start out the door, but I am quickly halted by the length of a broomstick being thrust in front of me. I know what you're about to do. I never expected you to stay forever. About 2 hours ago, I figured this would be your last night at Cedar. Candace looks very serious when compared to her normal, more gleeful demeanor. Now, after seeing you just a moment ago, I'm certain. It's just time I moved on, Candace. I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to stop you. Then is it then? What is it then? She cracks a smile and she gives nothing away. Before you go, there's something you need to see. Well, what is it? Come with me. Candace takes me by the arm and leads me behind the bar, through the door and down a flight of stairs in the wine cellar. She reaches to an empty section of the wine rack and produces a large sealed envelope. There's a chair over there. Take as much time as you need. She hands me the envelope and walks over to the door. Candace turns back to me. She looks sad for a brief moment, then she smiles again. It's been fun. Thank you. Without another word, she turns once more, closing the door behind me. I sit down in Candace's chair and I look at the envelope in my hands. I run my hand across its smooth surface, wondering what this is. Carefully, I tear open the envelope as it is sealed. Inside are 3 smaller envelopes, each marked with a date, 1967, 1987, 2002. I started with the envelope labeled 1967. Inside a letter, handwritten. The handwriting is excellent and unmistakably feminine. Hello, stranger. 2 nights ago, you swooped into my life. You shared with me the best night of my life, and then you were gone, with more mystery than your arrival. For the few hours we spent together, all seemed to be right in the world. All my cares had gone away. It was truly blissful. And then you left so suddenly, so abruptly. I never even said goodbye. The magic displaced instantly, my bliss shattered, leaving only pain and confusion. That night that we shared, why did we share it? Why did you come into my life, if only to leave hours later? Please don't misunderstand me, dear stranger. I'm not angry. I hold nothing against you. I only wish I could understand why that night happened. I was sure that we were both so happy, but when you left, I began to have doubts. Had I done something wrong? Were you not happy, as I thought you to be? Of course, thinking back to it now, it all seems a bit silly. It was one night, nothing gained and nothing lost. I'm sure you had your reasons for leaving. I'm glad it happened. I will always remember it. However, dear stranger, should I see you again, though it seems doubtful, please help me to understand what that night meant. I have an arching desire to know. To be honest, I'm not sure if you will ever read this letter, but I take comfort in knowing that it will not matter if you read it or not. This letter doesn't really mean anything. All I had written here is just a result of one impossible yet undeniable experience, the rambling of a young woman. My dear stranger, write all this to ask of my explanation, but it is now clear to me that I will never retrieve one. You don't owe it to me, so please don't feel as though you do. I'm happy enough to keep the memories of that night precious without anything more. So, my dear stranger, although you never said it to yourself, I will say it now. Goodbye, stranger. Emmeline. It took me a few moments, but eventually I was able to reach for the second letter dated 1987. I traced a finger over the now familiar script of Emmeline's handwriting before reading her words. Dear young man, I didn't want to believe it was you. Why would you return after just leaving me there? But your face was unmistakable. I'm sure you've heard the expression about having aged a day. We usually retrieve this from the women who vain for the truth, or people who've recently had plastic surgery. But in case you actually haven't, You looked exactly the same as all of those years ago. I had expected you to return I didn't expect you to return at all after you've left me. For a while, I was left to theorize and let my imagination run wild. What are you? Some kind of alien in human skin? A super advanced machine? A vampire? And then I remember one of the things you have talked about, the legend of an eternal wanderer. At the time, I dismissed it as a drunken rumble. And I saw you just yesterday. It had been 2 decades since I'd seen you. Memories fade, but I had my first suspicions when I saw you with Michael. You were helping each other with the audio cables. You might not have been recognized it, but I saw clear admiration in your eyes. Admiration and more. Envy? I guess if you really are to live forever, you could never again know childlike wonder and curiosity like Michael. And then I saw your reflection in the mirror as I was leaving. I recalled that time when we frolicked around the city in the snow in that moment, and I knew it was you. And now there's that matter of your cover. If you truly intend to work at the hearth and home, then I'll see you again. Believe me, the temptation is very real. To reveal you what you are, but what exactly would that solve? No, it's better to let bygones be bygones. I'd gain nothing but revealing you, and it wouldn't just cause you to leave again. I'm sure you're used to the process by now. I consider asking what occurred in your past travels. Who else did you meet? Anyone famous? How long have you been around? The things usual people would ask someone like you. But honestly, the numbers of faces of the past matter less than what you felt. I've been on the other side of it. Your emotions, I know what you felt. I admit that I hated you for a while after leaving me on that bench. But now I understand. I forgive you. I hope one day you find a place, or more likely a place that you can flourish in. With as much loss as experience, yours could only be worse. I wish you the best, stranger. Sincerely, Emily. She signed her name in the familiar script. I could feel the pressure of tears welling in my eyes now, wishing I could have spoken to her. If she knew who I was, then I could have apologized for leaving her all alone on that frozen bench decades ago. Clearly, she had cared for me enough to not reveal who I was to everyone. At the very least, I had the privilege of making that kind of connection, the only kind of connection I could truly ever establish. To you, I will write to you once again, and this will be my last. I have grown old and feeble, but alas, you are just as I remember you from those years ago. I'm sorry that you'll never be able to grow old. My son, my life, my son, and my family, they have given me joy. And just as the night we spent together as long ago did, kindness has been filling me in on all the fun I've been missing. So I'm grateful to her for that. I trust that she'll deliver these letters to you when the time is right. You've had our suspicions for a while now, that you probably leave Cedar soon. It always makes me sad thinking of your inevitable departure. It's kind of strange. We spent so little time together in our lives, and it seems like the time is so simple. Over these years, there hasn't been a day that I haven't thought back to the night we first met. I never have been able to understand that. It's just always meant a lot to me. I didn't recognize you when you came back in no, not right away. I'm not really sure why I didn't ever say anything to you. It just never felt like there was a good time to say anything. You had lived 20 more years. I had gotten 20 years old. Got married and had my family. Looking back, it was the best thing I did not say anything. It's strange, the connection we seem to have. I would say it is unique, but I can't say for certain whether it is true or not. The time you were part of my life was indeed brief, but without a doubt the time changed of my life. It changed my view of the world, and it changed how I see other people. I'm certain, but I think those changes were for the better, so I thank you. I also want to thank you for leaving me that night. I've enjoyed my normal life. I see how now that This is all I ever could have wanted. You saw that it was what I wanted long before I ever wanted it. You showed me something special. You gave me the chance to live the life that was mine. My dearest wanderer, we aren't very good at goodbyes, are we? But this will indeed be our last. But I have grandchildren that I soon hope to meet. You have a long road ahead of you, so I'll keep it brief. I want you to remember me as who I was, and who you will now always be. So goodbye, my dear wanderer. Travel safe, travel far, long and wide. Maybe in another life, in a different time, we will meet again. I am speechless. I sit for a while, stirring in my emotions. I feel empty, but in a good way. At an end, but in the best way. I feel complete. After I walk out of the closet, I come along across Candace alone. She's the only one left. The bar is empty, silent and calm, like some place out of a dream. Finished already? Yeah. And you're leaving now? Candace, she begins to cry. You know I have to do. She wipes her tears with the dirty hands. I know. There is a silence for a moment before Candace draws in for a hug. She braces me tightly, her trickly tears soaking into the shoulder of my coat. She trembles only a little. I don't want you to go. I have to. You can't leave. We're all still here. I'm sorry. I pull myself away. Goodbye, Candace. I'll miss you. I'll miss you and everyone else. And this dark, dusty old bar. And this sleepy town in the snow. I'll miss it. I'll miss you all. I will. Will you remember us? Always. Thank you. You know, you were like family to us. To my dad, to me, to the bar, to the town. You really were. I want you to remember that, okay? I give Candace one last smile before I turn for the door. She goes back to sweeping, not wanting to watch me leave. She takes a deep breath. Tears drip from her eyes onto the floor. Okay. Once again, I take a final stroll around the town. Cedar, Maine. At first glance, it all seems so asleep. Like it's not alive, but only lays there in a state of constant rest. But that couldn't be more wrong. The town was more alive than any other I've seen. The white snow resting on the frozen ground, glowing like the stuff of dreams. I've fallen in love over the years with this town, with this dream. But it's time to wake up. I walk away into wilderness, and the sun rises over the trees. I vanish like a ghost from a dream, wiping tears from my eyes. All I leave behind are footsteps in the snow that are soon swept away by the winter wind. Of all the money that year I had, I spent it in good company. And all the harm that year I've done, alas, was done to none but me. And all I've done for want to wit, to memory now I cannot recall. So fill me to the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. So fill to me that parting glass, and drink a health waterfall befalls. Then gently rise and softly call. Goodbye and joy be with you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I had, they're sorry for my going away. And all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls onto my lot that I should rise while you should not, I will gently rise and I'll slowly call. Good night and joy be with you all. Fare thee well, the story of a lonely man, a wanderer, a wearier, a stranger, and a sleepy town he left in the snow, one winter night. Wow, that's the end of it. Oh my goodness. Wow. This was actually a really long stream. I already know it was, but this was so well done. Like, I've played a lot of visual novels and everything in my past, but this was so well done. It kind of just says about a guy who is a wanderer, which it's crazy. He falls in love Then he has to leave because he doesn't want to hurt her. Comes back decades later, and she's married, has a kid, and it just kind of has the continuum of generations of family, of that specific families, from the bartender's family to the girl that he liked. And wow, the visuals are just beautiful. Like, even this is just so beautiful. It's so well done. So I give props to the people who made this game, Watercrease, and the directors and everything. This was just beautiful. I am so happy with this game. So if you want to check out the game yourself, you can go to Steam and look up Fare Thee Well. It is free on Steam, so that's what's awesome about it. Overall, I just really loved this game, and you all get to experience the game with me. I know it was a really long stream, but of course you can cut it up and check out the whole game of me playing this game. And I think that's pretty much it for today. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. It was a really fun game, really interesting, and yeah. So other than that, I will see y'all later. Bye! Cat out.